DevOps engineer by profession. Okay, so this demo about DevOps is going to be basically the introduction of what is demo about DevOps, what is that we'll be doing in DevOps, and how we'll be doing using this concept called DevOps, and what are all of the tools that are present in the market through which a company or a person can use the concept of DevOps and apply it to its existing process. Okay, so taking up one by one. So first, if you take any company, there'll be a bunch of developers, or there'll be a developer or a group of developers who will be working on some kind of codes. Basically, as a developer, their interest is to write some code. Okay. Now, if you say writing code, a code can be written for so many purposes. So the main purpose, if you see, either he'll be writing a code for a bug fix, or he'll be writing a code for a new feature, or he will be doing coding for a complete new release based on what his requirement would be. So in that case, what will happen is each and every developer will be concentrating on a particular part of a product which he is going to fix, or which he is trying to complete his task which has been given to him. So in that case, when you take as a real scenario where there will be a bunch of users along with the same person, you will be submitting the changes, and it will always not be just one person working on one project. So because of this, there needs to be an integration which has to happen at a frequent time, and when you have to give a delivery of your changes doesn't go alone. So it happens always as the integration. So in that case, what happens is each developer has to spend a lot of time in waiting, because even though he has completed his changes, he has to wait until others complete their code and all the code can go together as an integration, and then you can try to do a build out of that. So in that case, what will happen is the waiting period will be more as and when more number of developers are working on the same component or same product. Okay, now assume that, okay, these guys have completed their changes and changed to some kind of repository in which everything is maintaining. Okay, then you go ahead, do the build and verify if things are fine. Then finally you go into a deployment. So when I say deployment is all about ensuring that whatever the code that has been modified and whatever has been put into the production is working completely fine. Now, by the time a developer does the change and does the deployment, that will be a longer time where he has to wait. And additionally, suppose it is not always the case where the code would be passing. For some reasons, assume that the changes that he has done might fail. Now, the reasons for this failure could either be that the integration didn't happen, or his code or the other person's code is not compatible with this code. So there might be problems like this, or in addition, there might be problems with respect to the environment where the developer has used certain tools which has not been present in the environment which the build team is going to be using. In that purpose, there is a necessity again where the code will be sent back to the developers so that he will start by fixing whatever problems that has been occurred. Now, this cycle goes on until there is a clean build that happens, and whatever changes that has been submitted by the developers or the development community is passed by the QA, and it has been deployed completely. Now, this being at one side, the other side wherein the market evolution is so high, wherein you will be getting lots and lots of new features which you have to do. So there is a requirement which will be coming, wherein along with the existing code, what he has to do, there will be a lot of other pending works for the same example. So if he's working on 2 component fixes, or if he's working on 2 big bug fixes, when he has completed 1 bug fix and when he's going to start with the second bug fix, the first bug fix is still failing and it is coming back to him, the amount of load which a developer will be having is very much high. Now, this is a scenario which a company or a process has to be fixed. Only then the release can happen at a better point of time. All right. Now, this is more focused from the problem of what a developer will have. Okay. Now, proceeding further, you have the developer, and what else do you have? You have some kind of operation engineer, which may be a system administrator, and his purpose or his work would be that whatever servers that are present, which these developers or the development community are being using, has to be supported. Now, as and when there are more and more users coming into the picture and more applications are being used by the company, then the number of servers which is being used or maintained by the administrator will be more. So in that case, as a system administrator, his primary role would be to ensure all the servers, whichever is being maintained, has to be given an uptime of at least 99 to 100%, which means he would be responsible to ensure whatever servers that has been present in the data center is up and running always, which means he has to ensure that there is a high availability of all the servers. And at the same time, he has also ensured that the maintenance work, which is related to deleting the old spaces or maintaining some kind of application inside the servers, has also to be done. In addition, he also has to keep on upgrading his server configuration so that it will be compatible with the application that is coming. So the first priority thing that he has to do is the uptime and cleaning. In addition to it, to do all this kind of maintenance work, he has to use some kind of tools. Now, these tools can be either a third-party tool which is available. If not, the easiest thing what a system administrator would prefer is writing some kind of scripting. So that using that script, he will, basically he can write some kind of maintenance job which does the exact requirement of what he's done. So in that case, for each application that is going to be used or each server that you're adding, the number of tools that has to be maintained or number of tools that has to be written is going to keep on increasing. Further, no matter what servers people are using, no matter how many application servers that has been run, as soon as a developer who does the change and tries to submit his code or tries to deploy the changes, whatever he has done to the production, and if something goes wrong in the production, then again it comes back to the responsibility of the system administrator, where he has to take care of these servers and ensure that things are working completely fine. Because along with all this stuff, what he's going to do with the maintenance, he will also be responsible for the high availability, so that the health of all the servers which will be maintained in the data center has to be perfect, so that there is no breakage from any part of application or there is no loss in the productivity because of problem in the server. Okay, now these two, if you really focus, are the critical problems where the cost that is involved in maintaining the servers or the time which the developer is going to spend in getting things rolling out will be higher, and that is what is going to be causing a problem, because the market evolution is such a way that there's a higher competition wherein you have to give a delivery of a quality product at an earlier stage because you will be out of the market. So that is the primary goal what companies are moving towards because of the competition. So in that case, what is that is going to help us? Okay, the first savior or the first thumb rule savior which is going to help us will be continuous integration. So what do you mean by continuous integration? So as a developer, rather than writing or doing the complete product as a whole, it is always better to break up your product into smaller chunks or into smaller components. Okay, so in that way you can focus on developing a part of your code, and at the same time you can go through the complete cycle wherein you design that particular component, you do a build, you test and verify, so that rather than waiting for a longer time for all the users to integrate and wait and check at the end of the day, you can do the build, verify as soon as you try to do the submittals, which means as soon as you do some modifications, ensure that that is completely fine, it is compatible with other code, and it is okay from the QA. So this way, if you see, you will be focusing mainly on what is the requirement, and your time that you will be wasting in waiting and the release time would be high. And not only that, the quality of the code and the bug detection time would be at an earlier stage, so that QA also doesn't have to wait at the end of the day to check something and find out there is a problem. Now, in the same concept, as and when if there are new changes that is coming into the picture, or there is a new fix that you have to do, or there is a new requirement that has been coming from the customer, you can always pick up parallel task and you can focus. So thus, continuous integration will help the development community to achieve the release in a smooth way and at a better quality. Now, talking about that, how is it going to help as a system administrator? So, from a system administrator, what is important for him is infrastructure management. So how well can he do the infrastructure management? So rather than having too many servers for every time there is a need, either in the number of usage or in the number of applications that are going to be supported, so rather than having physical servers, he or she can go with the concept where they can use virtual machines, so that it will be easy for them to maintain and also the cost will be reduced. Now, going with the VMs is a good idea, but again, you cannot have multiple VMs wherein each developer will say that, okay, this is my system. When you give me a virtual machine, I want to install this version of Java, I want to use this version of some particular application, I want to use this version of this tool, can you give me everything? So even then, the administrator has to spend time in doing all those things. So rather than that, you can go with some concepts of containership, wherein you rebuild the image and have all those things which is required for that particular VM to bring up and attach to it, so that when you bring up the VM, you will be having all the environment which a user can access. Okay, this is one way that he can reduce the infrastructure management cost. If not, you can just go ahead with the cloud system, wherein you purchase tools or you purchase the servers for the tools that you want to access only for a particular time. So now, thus, if a maintenance has to be done from all the servers, a system administrator can use the configuration management tools using which he can write some kind of configuration script and he can apply on each of these clients. So that as soon as there is a change, as soon as he has to do some kind of upgrade, or when he has to install or uninstall something, automatically the configuration management scripts will take care of it, so that the administrator doesn't have to worry about doing everything. One simple example which I can say is that, okay, if there are 15 servers and if you want to set some kind of cron job in each of the 15 servers, so rather than going inside each one of them, you can run this setup called configuration management on each of the server. So automatically, whenever there is a need, or say that whenever you boot the server and there is no cron jobs applied, automatically based on the configuration that you have defined, this configuration management tool will apply that changes whatever that you wanted to do. So it is not only the cron jobs, you can also use the same concept for deploying. So you run these configuration management scripts or the tools inside each client, which will be checking against the change which has to happen. So that can be with respect to a file, with respect to a directory, or it can be with respect to an application, which you can say, based on this instance, based on this scenario, you do this. Okay, now talking about all these things will help him from configuration. But the other important thing, like what we just saw some time back, is high availability. So what do you mean by high availability? You have to ensure that whatever servers that are being present in the data center is up and running always. So there is a need again for doing a infrastructure monitoring. So using certain tools for monitoring, you can ensure the health of each servers that has been present is always fine. In case if there is some problem, you just try to fix it at an earlier stage and identify so that it doesn't cause a huge problem or it doesn't cause a productivity loss. So in that case, if you see this two separate communities of development and operation has to do so many things, and instead of doing many things in silo, the concept of DevOps comes into the picture. So DevOps, if you see, it is a bridge which is going to connect between the development and the operation team so that the workflow happens in a smoother way. Wherein, what does DevOps exactly focus on? So if you see, as a statement, DevOps is a software development methodology or a process which mainly focuses on bridging in the gaps which are being available between the development and the operation. So rather than working on silos, you combine these two persons or these two processes and ensure that the release happens at a smoother stage. Okay, so in that case, what and all does the DevOps focus on? So the first thing DevOps focuses on is the communication, because as we see that the modern SDLC like agile methodology, which focuses on agility, which means, okay, hey, I have a problem. I will just report it to someone, let them fix it and come back. So if we have this attitude of waiting until someone is going to fix, then that is going to cost us the time. In which, if you are going to deliver your product at a later stage, then it is going to be a problem wherein there are chances that you're going to lose the market. So agility or the DevOps talks about this establishment of communication, ensuring that whenever there is a change which is happening and you talk to the particular people, collaborate and do a proper communication so that you ensure things happen at the right time. So in that way, DevOps also ensures collaboration, saying that, okay, if there is a problem, what is this problem? Is the problem that has been caused by the development code, or is it being caused by the environment which we are trying to use formally, or is it because of the servers which is having the problem? Try to find out the culprit, assign a ticket or a bug, whatever that the mechanism or the process that you follow, in that assign to the particular person or the right person, handle them and make sure that things are being fixed. Okay, if it is a development issue and if it is not going to be fixed until 2 days, I don't worry about keeping the same code. I will go ahead and revert it so that I'll ensure my code line is healthy and things are working in a smoother way. So that is what DevOps is also focusing on in the collaboration. And say finally, it is going to also do on integration. So when you say integration, as I said, instead of working on silos, ensure that operation teams knows many things what the development teams come, and they can extend their help in putting up so many processes so that developer doesn't have to wait and communicate between everyone. As soon as there is something happening, there should be a smoother way so that a developer can easily communicate to others and get things done faster. So that integration between these two people on the development and the operation should happen smooth. And finally, the main focus of DevOps is about automation. So no matter what process that you're using currently, DevOps focuses and ensures using automation at each and every internal step or process that you're going to use. So that can be using your development methodology. That is, you can use some kind of SCM tool by which you can automate, have a continuous integration, apply a process, apply a bug tracking mechanism, saying that as soon as something goes, you do a bisect of what exact the problem is going to happen and try to fix it at an earlier stage. And also focusing on the operation side, it will help him to do the infrastructure management at a better stage and also configuration management at a better stage, so that any change, anything that is being needed at a particular point of time can be done at an earlier stage and also with less pain. So that is what DevOps is all about. Okay, now if you see, you've been hearing all this thing saying that I can do automation, I can do so much thing in a better way. That is what DevOps is going to help. Now the question comes into the mind saying that what tools exactly are available, because each task, whatever we saw earlier, which the DevOps can help us in, will be done or achieved by a particular tool which is available. Okay, so that can be either be open source or that can be an enterprise version. So in that case, if you see, for the configuration management, there are well-known tools like Jeff and Puppet. So through which, what you can do is, you can set up a configuration and you can define a rule saying that this is my rule based on which if something goes wrong or something has to be modified, you work based on it. Okay, and then further with respect to using the servers, what we can do is you can use the container ship like Docker or Vagrant, through which you can specify saying that my image, whatever I'm going to need when I'm trying to bring up my virtual machine, I will use this container ship and put only that as requirement. So for my product, I will create a container which will have only those softwares or only those tools of a particular version of my interest, so that we will give only what is required for that customer, so that it will be easy for him to understand and proceed. And further, as a system administrator, high availability of the service is required. So using tools like Nagios, you can do the infrastructure management, wherein you can keep a track of each and every server that is running, what is the status. You can create different events which will specify what exact check you want to do, what is the threshold you have to set for that, and alert based on that. In case if you are going to work on some kind of node management, then go with the tool like Surf, which will give you a better orchestrating over the node management. Okay. Further, if you see, if you're going to use a cloud environment completely, rather than I am taking the trouble of setting up all my server, I'll use a service. So go with something like Amazon Web Service, wherein you procured the servers based on what exactly you need and how long you're going to use. Now, other than this, if you see, it might be from the operation perspective, that may be a build engineer, a SEM engineer, or a system administrator, wherein there will be a lot of things where they need to store, right? That may be from the metrics perspective, or that may be from your daily reports, wherein you have to keep storing everything. So storing it in a traditional database like MySQL, or going ahead with Oracle, it's not only going to be costing, but also it is time consuming, and also retrieving data from all these things, it is going to be a cumbersome process, wherein it is going to be a complex case, wherein even if you have to change something in a simpler way, you have to change the complete schema, redo everything, and it's going to take a lot of time. So using tools like Elasticsearch, storing details or storing the data, whatever you want to input into it, will be very easy, whereas Elasticsearch is scalable and it is completely in a JSON format, so that retrieving data will be in a no matter of time, wherein no matter how many records you are trying to store and retrieve will be very fast. And like I said, it is completely scalable, so that anytime if you want to add more and more data, you just expand it. Okay, so that is what Elasticsearch is going to act, wherein you want to store something and retrieve with respect to metrics. And now further, if you have some kind of log files wherein you want to take data from log files and again store it in some place, you can use Logstash, which automatically can take the data from a log file whenever it has been updated, put into the Elasticsearch, and you can use a front-end tool like Kibana to do a search or display the content. So if you want, you can do it. If not, what you can do is directly you can write some kind of scripts so that it will collect the data, put into Elasticsearch, and use a PHP code or something that will help you to do the dashboard. So instead of that, Elasticsearch, Logstash, and Kibana goes hand in hand, so that you can use Logstash to put the data to the Elasticsearch, or you can direct other mechanisms like MongoDB, through which you can put the data into Elasticsearch. And if you want to see the data from Elasticsearch, you can use this tool like Kibana, which will act as a dashboard. Now, is it all that? No. Because if you see, each and every tool that whatever I've been talking about will be working separately. So you need a one-point solution or one-point tool wherein I can access many of this. So that can be your continuous integration, or you're trying to run your own maintenance script. So what you can do is you can use the CI tool called Jenkins, which will help you to not only do the continuous integration, but also it will help you to act as one place wherein you can access all these things, so that you can put in a workflow how you have to access everything. Okay, and now since these tools are related to the configuration management like Chef, wherein you have to write your configuration management script and you need to store it separately. Instead of storing it separately and taking up the pain if something goes wrong, what you can do is you can extend the concept of software configuration management or versioning, wherein you use an open source distributed version tool like Git, which will help you to store all this configuration files related to your project and use it whenever you want. And finally, the scripting comes into the picture, where if there is something which needs to be a connecting place or automation, then use scripting like Perl or Python, where you can achieve a further automation and get things done which you are trying to do redundantly. So these are the list of tools which is available in the market and which is being widely used. And this course, whatever that we'll be teaching, will be mainly focusing on these tools only. So the tool, the process, that is what DevOps is all about. Automation, process improvement, and collaboration between development and the operation teams like build or system administration. So that's from my side, and thank you for listening to the demo. Thank you.